they're always there. Action Force are there. Action Force will dare. Action Force. Now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and you're back for another episode of what we're calling Joe-Nie Loves Action Force. Special guest host Michael Nie joins me again. Michael, say hello to the listeners.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Oh, it's good to talk more Action Force this week. I hope everyone enjoyed last week's episode. It was a deep dive into some short stories, lots of action, lots of tea, lots of crumpets. Were you as affected by it as I was, Michael?
Oh yeah, it's a whole different cultural experience. So
my takeaways were that I really, really enjoyed the short story, the short get in, get out, have a lot of fun. What was really great was the shifting of gears that they went like it wasn't. Was there maybe one of them that was it was part of an arc, but there was maybe one that was kind of like a part two, but the rest of them were just like, nope. Yeah, similar. Some stuff is in continuity, but guess what? We're going on a different mission now.
Totally.
And then here's another 5 pages of a totally different mission. And that's kind of what we're getting again this week.
Yeah.
And I like it. I appreciate it. I like that style of storytelling. It definitely harkens back to old school comic books where every month was a different adventure and then some continuity thrown in. But here we go and off on a totally wild tangent. That's what we're getting this week. We're covering 3 parts. We're covering Action Force 7, 8, and 9 is the weekly Action Force. Now, last week we talked about weekly dates and things like that, and we came to a conclusion, but I think we have to amend that conclusion a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. So I came across some documentation that these issues actually were on
Secret files.
Secret files, yeah. Can't reveal all our secrets, but yes, I have my sources. But that these issues were actually on shelves, on newsstands in England, 6 days prior to the date on the cover. So, issue 1, for example, March 7th, was available March 1st, which makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And when you think about it, we were talking the comparison we were making were like a weekly magazine here, like the Weekly World News. The high quality rag that was. Like literally weekly. The new one comes out, they would swap the old ones out. So I think that's kind of the spirit that this was done. And being weekly, it kind of does then make sense why we'd get, they weren't being put out months in advance. So the advertisements and the things the markers that we used to match them up, absolutely were happening at the same time. It's just literally a week apart. So I'm giving us a mulligan. I'm saying we're still right until someone invents a time machine. In whatever time machine world you want to live in, whatever type of time machine you want to invent, I'm going to say that we were right last week, and we're also right this week.
There you go.
I'll take that. I'll take that win. If you want to tell us how right we are, you can reach out to me on social media at Joe on Joe Pod. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Also, tell me more how right I am. You can leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you're listening on. To also 5 stars, they're so right. And we had been doing some Draw with Joe episodes, so make sure you visit our YouTube channel, subscribe to that, leave a glowing review, and if you don't, I have the ability to delete it. So get ready for that. And while you're on the internet, please give a follow and love to our wonderful sponsors, the Movies and a Meal podcast. We're recording this ahead of time, so I don't know what movies are out in the theaters right now as we're recording this, but they're huge and they're awesome. I'm assuming that Deadpool and Wolverine have destroyed the box office and are in its 15th week. And again, I don't know if this is dropping before or after that movie lands, but either way, I'm assuming Deadpool and Wolverine is winning the summer. I hope I'm not wrong with that. Remains of the Day Part 2 still remaining, I think is a close contender for the song of the movie of the summer. So
I love it.
Yeah, I really do. So give them a listen, give them a follow, and give them our love. They've kept the show afloat for a while, and they deserve all the love. So Michael, Action Force is British.
That's right. And also, I mean, as it says on issue 1, it's also international.
But
right?
it's international.
You know?
It's international. So are you finding yourself reading these with an accent?
You know,
Like throwing that onto the character, not necessarily you.
I totally,
Michael.
I totally.
Are
Hey,
you throwing an accent
if I
onto
was
them?
if I was reading out loud to my nephew, I would absolutely do my best. 100%.
Because I am.
Yeah.
I am absolutely putting voices on characters, and that is not a thing I normally do. I'm not a person who needs to, I'm reading a Batman comic, and I need you to tell me where's the bomb. I don't do that. That's not in my head. I've never been that person. I'm kind of doing it now with these because I want to differentiate them from, I want to keep reminding myself that this is a kind of 45-degree off continuity.
Yeah.
The more I see and the more I read, it really does function well as the guys that weren't in action in America, in the American comics at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It really works fairly well with that, just with a British accent. And that really makes me think we could and we should. Well, no, we talked about this with rights and stuff, but they really should just fold Action Force into the G.I. Joe universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that should be a storyline in the Skybound G.I. Joe. You know what I mean? Where like
There's got to be a way to do it.
Yeah, they take these dudes. They take, again, copyrights. I don't know. Maybe that. I'm sure that's probably a thing. So come up with something different. Call them whatever, international force. Call it whatever you want to do. But let's do a spin-off. Once we get the Joe series back up and humming, let's do a spin-off and let's feature Flint and Jay and Dusty, the real Dusty, not this pseudo fake Dusty. This is a weird Dusty. Everyone else is really spot on. There's a weird Dusty. And let's throw them in England.
I mean, the cast for G.I. Joe is so massive that it's like, why not?
Why not? It's like Excalibur. It's like when Nightcrawler went and led Excalibur with Captain Britain and Megan and Shadowcat and Colossus for a little bit, like and Phoenix. Why not? The Excalibur was super popular. Let's do that with Skybound.
I'm with you 100%.
I think that would be amazing. And I gotta be honest, I don't even necessarily need it in the Energon universe. Let's do it as a spinoff of the Homiverse.
Yeah.
Let's call it Real International Heroes, and listen, start small. Start with a 36 mega issue series. Just small. 36 issues.
I think it would
just
be
a small 3-year adventure.
Extremely well received. Absolutely.
No, all seriousness, I really would love that. That would be a great way to do this. And then because it really it would give a lot of respect and, just pay homage to this era. And you could absolutely tell fun, you wouldn't make Flint British, but you would 100% have fun with it. Very, very much like, also, Justice League Europe.
Yeah.
Like, go fun with it. Do Justice League Europe with G.I. Joe.
And even in the pages of what we're reading here, there's American characters that, interact.
Sure,
and, Scarlet and Snake Eyes come over from the States. And so there's,
Totally.
I think Action Force fans would love it. I think there's enough G.I. Joe fans around the world that maybe don't know it so well that would also love it. I think it's money in the bank if they want it.
I think so too. And then you follow it up with a collection of all the various versions of it, which is interesting because you were talking about the show, and this is probably more apropos for next time's episode. However, we're going to mention it here, give you a little bit of a teaser, something I didn't know. Tell them what you found out about the G.I. Joe digest size, the Real American Hero, the little digest stuff.
Oh, yeah.
About issue 8.
So, yeah, issue 8 of the G.I. Joe Comics magazine, which is that small, somewhat difficult to read, digest size, that was part of that 1 through 13 run in the 80s.
And issue 8 is the one with issue 21 in it.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder to find, and I always thought for those reasons. But it turns out
there's some content that was reprinted from Action Force Weekly in issue 8 of the G.I. Joe Comics magazine, specifically the content from 4 different issues. Each story was 5 pages. Put 4 together, you've got 20 pages. That's almost a comic. And so those digests, they basically had 3 comics worth of content. And so in that issue 8, they've got, 2 U.S. stories, including 21. And then for their third comic, they took 5 page stories out of Action Force Weekly that do relate to that series of events in Silent Interlude. And I see, as we get into it, you'll see why they chose those 4 stories in particular. But I think it's more desirable or sought after one, as you said, because it's a reprint of 21, but also it has content that was never produced in the U.S. otherwise.
And I never realized that about because I've seen it expensive. I have 2 or 3 of them left I need to get, and just to be a completionist,
Sure.
just because that's in me. And I've seen this, and I've seen it for sale for too expensive than I wanted to pay. I almost bought I almost bought a whole thing once to sell the other ones, because then it would have brought the price down real well. But the guy that we couldn't get reception at the con to use like a PayPal or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I took that as a sign that I wasn't supposed to buy the whole thing.
And the truth is, I didn't know this until after. I actually did purchase a set at one point.
So you have it.
And yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
But posthumously found this out, and I was like, that's amazing.
Well, so that's neat to know. Like, right, I never knew that. 100% always assumed it was because it was the silent issue, and I get it, But knowing that's the case too, that's good to know. So listeners, now you know, and knowing is half the digest. So we're gonna dig into Action Force number 7, number 8, and number 9 this week. They've got some great covers. We're going to kind of go through, because they're all short 5-pagers. So we're kind of going to go through them. First is we'll talk about the covers first.
Sure.
And Action Force number 7 cover is awesome.
Titled Snack Attack.
Snack Attack. And I got to tell you, boys and girls, Flint is a snack. Look at him on that cover. The attack is apparently referring to Flint, because he looks awesome. He is busting through. Not only is he busting into, it's a fast food place, Mr. Tasty.
Which is the first time, we're actually coming back to a location for the first time that we've been, if you remember before, Mr. Tasty was what we thought was a Cobra Front.
Oh, right,
right. Springfield-esque. It turns out to be their London base of operations.
Yeah.
So we're revisiting.
Think Dairy Queen. I got a real Dairy Queen vibe from it. So not only is this is a great, and you look it up so you guys can see it. Not only is it a great profile shot, Flint in action, the gun barrel smoking. Inside the store, you see Bazooka,
new character for Action Force fans,
throwing down with some Crimson Guardsmen. Like, it's really well rendered. I love this cover. But Flint is taking the time to flip the sign to closed.
Priorities.
As he busts through the front window, he wants everyone to make sure they know Mr. Tasty is not serving burgers right now.
The window may be gone, but the sign says closed.
Yeah. I know. It looks like it looks like even more people can come in right now than normal. That's not the case.
I also noticed in the upper left they put Destro, and I think it's just because the cover features Flint.
Yeah.
They had done that once before.
Cobra. Yeah. It's Destro from the file card. He looks menacing. He looks great. Mm-hmm. Do we know who did the cover?
Yeah, so it's Jeff Senior again.
Oh, okay, great.
And he actually did all 3 of these covers.
They're awesome. And we're going to talk a little bit about Jeff Senior when we get into the middle, or to the to the body of it. So that's Snack Attack. It's really great. It's got we'll talk about styles later. So now Action Force 8 is
that's Wild Bill on the cover.
Solid.
This is my favorite cover of these 3.
Is it?
Yeah.
So tell us about it then.
So this actually references the G.I. Joe reprint story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the original Marvel UK story, but I love this because, how often do you see Wild Bill on the ground in a firefight, nowhere near a helicopter, and he
only in my dreams, Michael.
But here it is. Your dreams have come to reality, and the title on this cover for number 8 is Wild ... and Dangerous.
Yeah, he is.
So I love the play on words that they do. It's Wild Bill. He's wild, and he's taking a hit here in his shoulder.
Yep.
If you actually read the issue, or you're familiar with the Marvel story from G.I. Joe,
mm-hmm.
He actually takes a chest wound. It's much more serious than you
right.
see here on the cover. But I don't know. I love the energy of this.
It's
cover.
great energy. I got a lot of Mike Zeck vibes from this.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think in my brain, I've seen this before. I think I always thought it was a Mike Zeck cover.
Yeah.
Because it's got a lot of Mike Zeck energy. The gun barrel is very Mike Zeck. the smoke coming out the sides. Like it's really, really good. Now in the top corner there, they've got Flint, so they actually didn't do that opposite good guy, bad guy.
Right.
They have Flint in the top, which makes sense because he's the star of the show in Action Force.
Flint's on most of the covers in the upper left. It was just when Flint was featured on the cover that I think they put Destro up there.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, why two Flints?
I mean, he's got a big ego.
It's the Flint show.
Yeah.
Which of course, United States would eventually do with G.I. Joe featuring Snake Eyes. And it became, so,
This is issue 8 is the second cover, Action Force cover, to feature, the Marvel reprint story. The first one was, when Shakedown was featured earlier.
Yep.
And so, it's a great story. And that's a reprint from Special Missions number 4.
Yeah. Dynamite colors, really nice posing. And now we get to number 9. Now this is pretty angry, Zartan.
This is his first appearance in Action Force.
So he debuts but it's the reprint of the US though.
It is.
He's actually not in the Action Force part.
Correct. Although I would put an asterisk on this reprint story and say of everything we've read so far, this one has enough edits going on that they really are bringing it into the British Action Force world. They're changing enough dialogue. Major Blood is no longer referenced in the story, and now they're referencing Wild Weasel instead.
Okay.
And
well, let's talk about that a little bit. We're not going to dig into the details on that, but Michael, when you were reading it, I read it online. You were reading it through the originals, and so tell them what you found.
So
just broad strokes.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, the cast just explodes for Action Force, but the broad strokes are, previously for the Dreadnoks, we've only seen Ripper and Buzzer, right. And so this is Zartan's first appearance, and we actually do see Torch, and he does have dialogue in the script, and it's funny because Torch is one of the characters in the toys that was never released in England. So their Dreadnoks were...
But they've changed the dialogue from the American version, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So there's dialogue about Major Blood and the Baroness in the American version.
Because it's portions of G.I. Joe 25.
Yes. Yeah, and Major Blood is not in the action that's happening in Action Force Weekly here. So instead they talk about Wild Weasel instead of Major Blood, and the commander is basically saying Wild Weasel was sent to the swamp as punishment for the events of Shakedown.
Interesting, because they aired Shakedown first. They ran it first.
Correct.
Interesting. Yeah. That's smart.
And so the editor is making he's going to great lengths to take the American stories and to tie them in as much as he can, so that for the Action Force reader, it is still Action Force. So they might be a little confused when they read the G.I. Joe story because it's different.
That's really cool. That's just we'll chalk that up to a language difference.
And even another thing they do is
that was a joke, by the way. We both speak English.
Oh yes, so. Yes. Sorry.
I couldn't. I had to point that out because otherwise I would have sounded like a dope.
Of course. Sorry, I'm too.
No. You've got notes.
Get out of my tunnel vision.
Michael's doing more notes. I love it.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is Gung Ho has a wound in the story, and they say that this is from Storm Shadow. Which in the UK story a couple of weeks ago, basically Storm Shadow slashed Gung Ho, and he's in the infirmary.
Did they change any Did they change any of the art, or did they just kind of pick and choose what pages to use, or did they make substantial changes? Like you said, Torch was included.
They cut out an entire page. So
but did they go into the art and change anything?
Just the dialogue.
Just the dialogue. Okay.
So not
so the art's the same. It's just they just cut and removed stuff that wasn't pertinent.
Yes.
Got it. Interesting. You could explain it away. To put your no prize hat on. Mm-hmm. It could be an anecdote.
Yeah.
It could be like, I heard they sent Wild Weasel over there because he got in trouble for Shakedown, and then someone else be like, no, man, that can't be true. Shakedown happened years later. I don't know, man. That's what I heard. I heard from some dude in a pub in Britain. So this cover is it's just Zartan, and he's very angry, and he's very it's a fun. I don't know how to explain this face. It's other than to say it's a comic book face.
Extreme close up.
It's an extreme close up. Every muscle and striation in his face is being stressed. But it still looks normal. Like, it doesn't look like a cartoon per se. It still looks just like the angriest human you've ever seen. And it looks like this picture was captured about 3 seconds before his first or maybe second aneurysm.
Yeah.
Very angry. His eyes are tinted red, so he is seeing red. But it's a fun cover. You know, you anyone that's not a Joe fan though, I would say like you wouldn't know who that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it works. As far as like,
Except no clever title.
well,
the title is
the clever, right? But if you didn't know that was the name of a human being,
That's true.
you
What's
would be
a
like,
Zartan?
What's a Zartan do?
Is that what color your skin turns
Yeah,
when you get this angry?
Yeah, isn't
you know?
that the island city that disappears every 35 years? So like as covers go, this is where I lean to like the Bill or the Flint cover. And for me, the Flint covers pops a little better as far as like catching your eye and the thing.
Well, and as far as storytelling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Storytelling. But like, I think catching your eye, probably the Wild Bill, just because it just pops with the gunfire.
Yeah.
Storytelling, the Flint one's great. There's a lot to that picture that you can keep deep diving. And Zartan is just a really fun, if you know who he is, you get excited. And if you don't, you might be like, this guy's really, really angry. Something about Margaret Thatcher, especially at the time.
Yeah.
Let's go play some football and you know, let's hit the pitch and play football is what that's as British as you're going to get out of me. And that's it. Now we're going to dig into the issues here. Oh, there it is. And starts with Fast Feud, which is the this issue 7 one. So that's Flint and the gang breaking into a fast food place. Now, before we go further, this is I was talking a little bit about this. Is Jeff Senior doing the art. I would have bet money, I really would have, that somehow John McCrae, who is very well known for things like Hitman, works with Garth Ennis a lot. They did a book called Dicks together. He just passed away a little bit ago. I've long been a fan of his stuff. He did a lot of stuff. He's a British guy. This page looks so much like a John McCrae picture that I am not even ready to admit that it's not, even though it's credited to Jeff Senior. That either I believe he was either a protege of Jeff Senior's, or maybe worked in his studio or something. You know, like maybe he actually did have a young John McCrae had a hand in this page, or somehow was just like that was his biggest major artistic influence. You know, kind of like Neil Adams was to John Byrne, kind of a thing. Or yeah, like that, or Kirby was to Byrne rather. Because the cigarette pop, well, spit take, it's more of a spit take. Cigarette too, though. The spit take popping out of this guard's mouth, or not a guard, what is he, a janitor? That
Cobra janitor.
The Cobra janitor, that spit take, that look is so Hitman. I don't know. I can't say anymore. I showed Michael just the cover of Hitman.
Yeah.
And he immediately saw what I was talking about with some of these faces in this.
Brothers from another mother. Maybe.
They really were. Yeah. So, which is, I love. I mean, I love it because if there is a real connection, that's great. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there is, but it might be something I'd try to drill into because totally feels like John McCrae, and that's a huge compliment because I love John McCrae stuff. His stuff's got fun energy, it's cartoony, but also real because he's usually drawing really adult gritty situations. And the art in all these are really fantastic. So
yeah, it's cool that Jeff Senior did the covers and the interior art for 7 and 8.
Do you see this? Do you see? So we're reading the issue on bloodforthebaron.com. Do you see the different colors on Shipwreck's face?
Yeah, that's true in the issue as well.
Is it really?
Yeah, he is that pasty.
Oh, wow. So that tells me it's a correction.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's at some point someone did a correction on something because Shipwreck is very, especially for a guy who's on sea.
Yeah.
Who's out at sea all the time.
Looks seasick.
Yeah, he really does.
He looks like he's about ready to hurl.
He really looks like Flint's like, he's been at the beach. Well, we know he goes to the beach because we've seen him multiple times, both in the comic book and the cartoon at the beach.
Yep.
So he looks well rested and tanned, Bazooka. Everyone that's Crankcase, right?
That is Footloose.
Oh, that's Footloose. Well, Crankcase is later.
Yes,
Yeah.
soon. But you thought maybe Footloose might have ate it in our earlier
Right,
issues.
right.
But
Yeah.
he's
No,
still
he's
with
alive.
us. He's
Good.
back in action.
They all look healthy. Shipwreck looks ill.
Yeah. His arm is fine. His bicep is like, all the spinach went to his bicep. But he definitely had some Mr. Tasty. And
Yeah, so
wasn't so tasty.
There's a janitor cleaning up Mr. Tasty, and in a fun bit, he's grousing about the state of Cobra politics, benefits, like
Not
no
giving
one
him any action.
Yeah,
He's
no one
not seeing
respects
any
him. He's
action.
just a janitor, and every once in a while, some celebrity will pop into this place, and he gets no action. At that moment, that's when the gang jumps in.
And he just says, I quit. So he doesn't actually want the action. He's out of there.
And I gotta tell you, Action Force, in the vein of being bloodthirsty sons of, they just open fire.
Yeah.
They to the reader, we don't even see who they're firing at, and I'm serious about this, until the third panel after they've busted into the place. We see the janitor, we see a lot of gunfire, we see more gunfire, and then we finally see Flint engaging with some Crimson Guardsmen that I don't know where they came from.
That's right. And they're already going down.
Oh yeah, they're getting, there's fire involved. I like this. This panel screams John McCrae.
It's great.
The dimension, he always has, his dimensions are are always a little bit off.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll, in a fun way, like in a way that he knows what he's doing. Like someone will just be a little smaller than they need to be to fit a panel to do something wacky. That's what's going on with that Crimson Guardsman, because he's stabbing Bazooka through the shirt and it looks great. Bazooka is about to take it in the face, except he pulls a burger picture off the wall, and he knocks it. I love seeing Bazooka in action.
Yeah. Well, they focus on him so much here. It is his first appearance, and he is like, it is his time to shine.
Yeah. Some more fighting, and while this is all happening, Storm Shadow's in the background watching, and he
was left behind.
He was left behind because remember they went to Destro's castle last time. They didn't bring Storm Shadow. So, just remember, don't spurn your ninjas. Don't spurn your lovers. Don't spurn your girlfriends. Don't spurn your wives, your partners, your husbands. And don't spurn your ninjas. Gung-Ho and Scarlet show up. They break a door. That door being cracked in half. That is the door that every single artist that I've ever seen draw breaking a door gets. That's it.
Yeah.
You draw a door, and then you mentally break it in half, and you draw it in two different angles. I don't know if that sounds too simple. I don't mean to belittle it, but I saw that door and I went, I've seen that in a million comic books.
Yeah.
Like it's just the easiest way to do it. It looks good. It looks great for what it is, but like it's so comic booky. Like that break of that door. Does that make any sense, Michael?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's simple, but it gets the point across.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's completely, I love it. Like it's great. Just like that. And there's a certain kind of dragon monster that was really, I say kind as if there was like it's an actual breed or something, but there's a way that people drew dragons in the 80s that is awesome. And that so many people did. Gil Kane I've seen draw it. Jan Dursma I've seen draw it. It's just this. I feel like I've seen early X-Men. Dave Cockrum do this dragon. Yeah. This like the teeth are a little too thick. The mouth is just rounded. Like it's not like today we draw, when you see someone draw a dragon, they look more like they do in the CGI movies and all that stuff.
Sure.
There's just this really puppet look. I guess it looks like more of like a puppet dragon. Whenever I see that, I always get a kick.
Takes you back.
Always get a kick. So Gung-Ho and Scarlet, they sneak up on Storm Shadow. And he's having none of it. Takes out Gung-Ho with one quick swipe.
This is where Gung-Ho gets slashed.
Yeah.
And
so then this is
two issues later, they're going to reference this slash
this
in the American story.
Got it. And Scarlet throws some stars at him, which makes Storm Shadow recognize that she's trained in the art of ninjutsu.
But says she relies too heavily on modern technology.
Yes. Clean panels, man. Clean panels, clean storytelling. it progresses you through the fight. It focuses where it needs to focus.
And no qualms about knocking a lady around a little bit.
No. Listen, you show up to fight Storm Shadow. He ain't playing. And then he does though get bopped in the back of the head by Flint. So that is a little like
A little disappointing.
You just showed Worf whipping everyone's butt, but the plot has to have Worf get captured. So one dude comes in and hits Worf in the back of the head.
And it's like a cadet or something.
Yeah. That's exactly what this is. So Flint sneaks up on Storm Shadow. He cracks him in the skull. And they got Gung Ho and Triage. And they're escorting Storm Shadow out. And in a moment that is ripped from episode 21, issue 21, we see that, or like rather the British folks saw for the first time
the Arashikage tattoo.
Storm Shadow has an Arashikage tattoo.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you're reading this? You just know that there's another ninja running around. You don't know that you haven't read the U.S. stuff, right? So you don't know this yet.
No, we don't. We don't even know Snake Eyes has this tattoo yet.
Right? They don't know that yet.
No, in 2 issues they're gonna reveal Snake Eyes has it. So this is actually, this is the first time we're seeing this in Action Force, and
that's
this
exciting.
is where Flint asks Scarlet about this. She knows about it, because of she and Snake Eyes came over from the States. They hang out. She knows all about the tattoo, but we, the reader, don't know, and Flint doesn't know, and she kind of basically changes doesn't say, and the conversation continues, and so we're left just curious what was that about.
Yeah, it's a nice cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. So even if you don't, so I guess they didn't know what it was yet.
No.
And what could it be? But it captivated us when we were kids. We didn't know what it meant. We just knew that they had the same one at the same time. Yeah. So they even get it. I would say they get a better tease.
Yeah. I mean, always
they're being told that it's important, but not why.
Right.
That's even.
Scarlet knows what it is all about. But we don't.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And it ends with an extremely detailed street map of London's busiest shopping district.
That's right. Wardour Street.
Wardour Street. Does that do a pronunciation on that? Wardour? I don't know. Like
we're gonna need a check on that one.
Yeah. My brother-in-law's from Manchester, but I feel like I just all these episodes are just going to insult him. Just my lack of accuracy here. So there is a bomb on Wardour Street, which I'm presuming is the name of this adventure. That's
right.
Gotta
So
be
this
it.
is the start of issue 8.
Yeah. And that's the only. It's in big letters on this page. So Flint and Crankcase and Barbecue.
First appearance of Crankcase.
Yep. Of course, Barbecue, the Action Force fire starter. As we learned last time.
Yeah.
They're talking to. They never really say who it is, do they? I didn't catch it. It's not. At first, I thought, it's that British dude that's their guy, but it's not.
It's not Mr. Trent.
Yeah, it's not Trent. It's some other dude, and it's Flint. So it sounds like it's the mayor or something of Wardour or Oxford or wherever they're at.
Yeah, that or a police officer or commissioner.
Oh, that's probably it. It's like Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
So Flint's telling him, "Hey, man, you got some trouble in River City with capital C, the rhymes with Cobra," and he's like, "You're out your mind, fool. All you have is a map." And Flint's like, "Yeah, but we found this map with Cobra."
That's right.
And he's like, "Well, what if they just wanted to go shopping?" And Flint's like, "So take the risk." And, he goes, and then he's like, "But we don't want to shut down our shopping center." It's a big Jaws 4th of July conversation happening.
That's right. So while Flint, Barbecue, and Crankcase are trying to convince this police commissioner that, he needs to, do something about this situation, there's 3 other agents, Action Force agents, down in the street.
Yeah. Do you get the vibe that this dude, whoever he is based on a real guy?
I do.
I sure do.
He very looks detailed.
Real detailed and real specific. Now, whether he's based on someone that might have been an actual politician at the time, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Could it be Jeff Sr.'s buddy? I don't know. I have no idea who this is, but that's a real dude.
Totally. And because he looks very similar in all of it.
Yeah, he's very, very much spot on accurate. So we learned that they've got the three Joe members on the case. They're just going to stand there and intimidate this guy while the other 3 go on about it. And here, sure enough, Footloose and Jay
And Dusty.
Dusty, who's
A different
hashtag
Dusty.
not my Dusty.
That's right.
Yeah, just Dusty. Yeah. Should have been Grunt. Just make him Grunt. It could have just been Grunt. No one would have cared.
If you're not that familiar with these characters, here again we have them in civvies. You know, they're not in their uniforms. So.
Although they did choose to go with the guy with a mustache.
Yeah.
And a similar looking guy but without the mustache and a lady. So that's smart.
Yeah.
That is smart. You know, it's not like they all looked, they're all like two blonde dudes hanging out.
Right.
That's awkward.
So we start off, that's Footloose.
Yeah, Footloose is there. He hears some gunshots.
What he thinks are gunshots. Turns out it's just a couple of kids with some...
They're firecrackers.
Yep.
They've got some poppers. Clear out, you brat.
Pulls his gun out even.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, gun's illegal.
It's interesting.
Guns weren't supposed to be in the hands. Like, seeing a gun on the street in
London.
In London on Warburg Street.
Yeah.
That should have started a panic.
Right. They definitely were channeling some American storytelling.
Yeah, and while this is happening, there's a purse snapping, a purse theft.
Yeah, so this is Dusty, not your Dusty.
Not my Dusty, but your Dusty. And then he shows up and he knocks this guy out. So like all good comic adventures, it's the right time at the right place. And this stuff's happening, and how can we stop it? So I love it. So what they're doing is we got 3 agents in the field, and we need a distraction for all 3 agents. That's what it is. And that's how you end up with Lady J just on her own with what she realizes is, or she's about to realize, is the actual Cobra culprit. But even there, it's not her battle instincts, though, is it, Michael?
No,
it's her motherly instincts.
Maternal instincts.
It's her maternal instincts. Some idiot kicker would be proud of her. Yeah. It's her maternal instincts because she sees a little baby. That must be a lifelike baby.
Yeah,
we're reading a comic book. In a comic book, obviously, you're looking at cartoons of drawings of things. Was it that movie American Sniper where Bradley Cooper's holding a baby and it's so obviously a fake baby and no one caught it and it's the worst?
Yeah.
It's got to be better than that.
100%.
Because Jay looks at this baby, goes up to the baby, and is like, cuckoo, ka-choo.
Yeah. This is like on the level of like a Grogu, like, model built by...
Has to be.
Built by ILM.
Yeah, it's got to be like bat prototype technology. Because they don't even... This lady who's not the Baroness, but she looks like Baroness. Is that the same lady from the last issue?
No. So this is another female Crimson Guard. So far,
ladies represent.
Yep.
Whoop, whoop.
And yeah, totally like an older, more haggard cousin of the Baroness.
Totally haggard
with a more severe widow's peak. No glasses.
Everything, man. But she's the Baroness before she got the face surgery in like issue 18. That's what she is. She's the Baroness. This is the real Baroness. They swapped her. They body swapped her. Just like Paul died and they swapped him with the duplicate for the Beatles. This is the original Baroness. She went to work against the Action Force and they substituted a hot lady for our Baroness because the early Baroness was not attractive and she was not supposed to be attractive. And that's why it was burned in my head for probably 25 years that she was not attractive.
Right.
And then I saw someone at cosplay once and I went, oh, the Baroness can be attractive.
And look at where we are today. Here we are all today. The variant covers.
And here we are today. Yeah. And here we are today. All of a sudden, she's this symbol. And it really, though, people, let's go back to it. She was supposed to be haggard. She was supposed to be this lady.
But you know what else is not attractive? This baby is like
it's only a head on sticks of dynamite. So think old school sticks of dynamite with a timer. That's what it's drawn like, which is great. I love it. That's what is happening.
And super disturbing.
Disturbing. So as Jay goes to say hi, this crazy lady's like, get away from me, woman. And as she does it, the baby jostles and the
blanket comes off.
The blanket comes off, and you see this obvious bomb. I like that Lady J screams she's Cobra, and that's the moment her jacket opens and we see that she's wearing a full Crimson Guardsman outfit. You didn't notice that. So Lady J, unobservant, thinks a fake kid is real. Does not notice, even though they're specifically looking for Cobra agents. And Cobra predominantly in this iteration is seen wearing Crimson Guard outfit. Does not notice that this woman is wearing a full red bodysuit
Maybe she's been on the sauce a little bit and is a little out of it. I don't know.
Lady J's been hitting the pub is what we're saying here. Lady J is drunk. But that lady is caught by Dusty, not my Dusty. Dusty? Yeah, it's Dusty, yeah.
Is it? No, this is Footloose.
Oh, no, it's Footloose. So where's his mustache?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, no, it's there. Oh, it's there.
You
It's
gotta
very,
look real
very,
close.
very small. Yeah. So Footloose catches him. Yeah, the mustache almost disappears, but it actually is there. Footloose catches her,
The Crimson Guard, yeah.
Crimson Guard lady. Lady J is swaddling this bomb.
Yeah.
She knows it's not a baby at this point, and yet she has chosen to carry it like a baby. Michael. She's kneeling down, picks it up like a baby, is in her arms like a baby.
Maternal instincts are,
and that's a baby that looks like Gerald Ford.
It's true.
Yeah,
So true.
Oh, who was that? Do you know? Oh man, the New York nighttime longtime host. He was out of control. His name was Joe. He was a short little dude. He did crazy shows.
Yeah,
That's what that baby looks like.
totally.
Cheryl.
Shirley agrees.
Shirley totally agrees. So she's holding this bomb like a baby, but then she finds out that it not only has a timer on it, but it also has a movement trigger.
Super 7 is going to do this O-ring action figure.
7 should totally
There's a panel here that has kind of an explosion background. It's just Lady J, on white with the explosion,
Yes.
and it's just sitting there, cradling this baby bomb. I
Super
think,
7, if you're listening,
That's a deep dive.
that would be an amazing action figure. Lady J holding a baby bomb. Joe Franklin. That looks like Joe Franklin.
There
That's
it
who I'm
is.
thinking of.
There it
That
is.
baby looks like Joe Franklin. So we now move into the final issue.
Yeah.
And it's
Aptly titled.
Holding the
Baby.
Baby. Jay is sweating.
So what we found out, she's sweating profusely because at the end of 8 there, the Crimson Guard lady let her know that she's she set off a timer by
Yeah.
picking up this baby bomb,
Yep.
and that there's a tremor switch.
Yep.
And so if she
She
moves too much,
Kaboom.
that's it.
That's it. So enough time has passed, and I actually like this. They did this pretty well. They open on her sweating. Her makeup is running. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting from because now you see you really accented makeup, so that makes me think it's running from the sweat. She's nervous. You close up in on her eyes, and then the camera pulls back, and you see that done in film a lot to show that the time has passed because we're staying with her, but when you pull back, you reveal that things around her have changed.
And it's that 1, 2, 3 cadence here.
Yeah, so it's a really nice editing storytelling technique, and that's what we get here. So by the time the camera pulls all the way back, the rest of Action Force has set up like a bomb barricade around her in case it does explode. They don't have time to get any actual bomb experts there, so it sounds like is it Crankcase is going to be the bomb expert?
Yeah, and Barbecue is basically walling everyone in.
Yep.
So
So they're all going to die together. And they're just it's Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover on the toilet.
And another beautiful shot of that baby bomb.
Beautiful shot of that baby bomb. That is the creepiest. That is
See you in
I
your
want
nightmares.
someone to cosplay as Lady J with the baby bomb. I want someone to make it. Although, real talk, you probably couldn't walk around with like fake dynamite. That would probably get you flagged.
Well, if anyone at the Finest, the G.I. Joe
Yeah.
Costume Club, wants to attempt this.
If anyone wants to attempt
I'm sure
this.
it hasn't been done.
This would be an absolute brilliant move. Put a bunch of fake dynamite together and put a Joe Franklin baby head on it. So
For Halloween or something.
for Halloween, you know, someplace that they're not going to call SWAT on you. So while they're interrogating the lady, not my Baroness lady, they're interrogating her to get how do you disarm the bomb, and she's having none of it. But while that's happening, do you think this is going to come to anything? We get a little bit of the British paparazzi in there, which I love because that's a thing over there. You know, it is over here.
I think we're going to see this later. I think this is a breadcrumb.
Yeah, I think this is a breadcrumb too.
Snaps a photo of Flint, angrily grabbing.
Yeah,
this.
cracking a lady.
That's right.
take that, unattractive baroness. So while that photographer takes that picture and Flint's distracted, she takes the moment to karate chop Crankcase in the throat. Quickly, once again, subdued by Flint.
Look how blue he is there.
Oh, he's totally blue.
He's ready to hurl. I mean,
She broke his larynx.
all the blood has left him.
And Flint does this great. Oh, and by the way, this issue is drawn by Kev Hopgood.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Flint does a great kung fu like flip on her. Like she goes to throw a smack, and he just like, or jujitsu. What is that? Where you use their momentum against it? Is that that's not kung fu? Isn't that jujitsu? Aikido something. But he uses her he absolutely uses her momentum against her, and it's illustrated really nicely too. And what I like about this is they get it across without. You can do it with a static camera and. Like there's a way to do this where the Flint would be like kind of in one panel and be multiple panels, and you would see her flip, so you would show that action like that.
Right.
Do it in Flash a lot. I feel like they've done it in G.I. Joe, but they do it. They do this move in like 3 or 4 panels, really 3, but the camera spins around him, and you still absolutely feel what he's doing. It's just they're picking the right moments. She's coming at him. He's moving out of her way. Her momentum is taking her, which is also taking your eyes that way.
Yeah.
And then just the way they've drawn him, she flips over, and it feels very organic in the storytelling.
It works. I mean, in a cinematic sense, they are jumping the line. They're jumping the 180-degree line here because we're on Flint's left, and then we're on his right, and then his right again, and then we're on his left.
It's interesting though. I don't find those rules apply to comic books.
No, not at all.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But
this is a perfect example. I think it totally works.
You're totally right, and it is disturbing when you see that on film. Michael's a professional, and I appreciate that. But that is cool. That is one of the cool things that I like about, like a comic book is like that camera's in that world, and it can go anywhere you want it to be.
Yeah.
And as long as you give us enough visual markers to denote, oh, there's some grass, and then there's the same patch of grass in a different version, our brains can track where it's at. It's very hard to do that in film.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or if you actually give fewer markers and you have a largely white background here.
Also that. Yeah, in this case,
you can't be wrong.
Yeah, no, in this case, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no need for a background. But also it's like go back even further. This whole page is saying it's happening so fast, we don't have time for backgrounds. You have a background at the top that some kind of slower action is happening.
Yeah.
You then get 4 panels of boom, 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 boom. And then it slows to a crawl again when she gets captured one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, the world is whirling by so quickly.
It's
cool.
That. The comics are great.
Yeah.
Comics are pretty great, Mike.
Yeah.
So he's got her cornered, and Crankcase basically tells us that there's a red and a blue wire. They don't know which one to pick. So
he doesn't have time to pick the whole box apart.
So and it's that classic move. Well, then you're going to die too, lady.
But what's crazy is Flint takes out his handcuffs and he puts them on the Crimson Guard lady, and not handcuffs her to I don't know, himself or and just stands there, but handcuffs her to Lady J. Remember, there's a tremor switch here. So I mean, he's really playing with fire. The action of putting these handcuffs on.
It's true. I wasn't thinking about the tremor switch, which is 100% the right point to make. Like, it should have been on him. But I'm more concerned with the playing with Lady J's life.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, making that choice for Jay.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And
although she's already
technically Jay is going to die whether or not. I guess it's not too forward of a move.
Yeah,
but yeah, you feel like it's a little more. I'm going to put it on me, and I ain't going anywhere. But no, I don't
think she thanks him for it later.
Because if this is going to blow off, Flint, I'm going to run.
That's right.
Flint. That's where. I think
barbecue.
That's what
you done putting up those barriers? Okay, let's get out of here.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I think that's where my brain is flagging for this of him putting it on Lady J. Is like Flint's like, oh, I could still run away. We're not all gonna die.
Nothing like putting the two women together to like meet their maker and getting out of Dodge, right?
Yeah, over a baby.
So
There's
wrong.
so much symbolism in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's flagging me on this, is that he can still run away. I'm not saying he would. I'm not, whatever. But he is still giving himself the option to run away.
Sure.
And as all these gambits go, she caves and she just, what it looks like? It looks like she has a fanny pack.
Yeah.
Is
that would be of the era.
Well, I mean, I think it's part of the costume.
Yeah.
But it feels like a fanny pack. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually a fanny pack in disguise. So she gives it up. She says the blue wire.
At the last minute, she says,
Last
"Cut the blue
minute,
wire."
And the baby does not explode. The lady faints, and we find out.
And we have to sell some toys still.
We have to sell some toys.
So the Ostriker rolls up.
Really nicely rendered Ostriker.
Yeah.
Gotta say, really good. And everyone looks great. Everyone is spot on here, except when they're in disguise, which is okay for me because it works. Like, you know who they are. You know why they're in disguise. Mm-hmm. Everyone else that's on the job, they're absolutely looking spot on to their counterparts. We get a great looking Ostriker. And we learned that Flint was going to choose the red one. So they would have all died. Or Flint would have been 20 feet away yelling, "Cut the red one."
He even says, what would Lady J asks him, what would you have done if she hadn't said cut the blue wire? He said, well, I flipped a coin. Mm-hmm. Heads, I would have done red. Tails, I would have done blue. And then he tells her, and the coin flip was heads.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what are you going to do? You can't be angry with the guy. He is no bomb expert. I do want to know why Crankcase and why not Barbecue, who in this iteration, the last episode, he was their explosives guy.
Yeah.
So I feel like Barbecue might have had some thoughts.
It's true.
I dig it.
It's great.
It's great.
It's great. And only 5 pages again.
I mean, all of it. Yeah. It's so fast. It's so quick. And it just, the whole thing just moves. 5 pages of action in 5 different locations, fast food fights.
Now we're in the busy square.
Yeah, we get fast food fights, and then then
we come back there.
Yeah.
But we've seen an Arashikage tattoo.
Yeah.
We don't know what that's about.
The streets of London, panic in the streets of London. Then we get a bomb scare.
It's pretty great.
That's pretty great. Pacing wise, let's be real. That's how comics used to be. And, get off my lawn, old man screams at cloud. I get it. But like, do you remember that? You used to be able to get this much action in one issue of a comic book.
Yeah.
All 3 of these would have been padded to 22 pages, 21 pages, whatever. These all would have been padded to one beat of the story per issue.
Yeah.
I'm not here for that. Give me my action. Give me my adventure. Mary Jane thinks so too. I really dig it.
I just want to make one quick mention because
Sure.
I always enjoy, the Postbox the Pit in the G.I. Joe issues. Here we've got our mail call, Flint calling out and a number of the mail call, readers were writing in to talk about issues 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And but there was just 2 things that just stood out to me. One, I think my favorite letter is someone basically saying to, the publishers, I've got a training plan for Action Force. And the training plan involved having to, so this is what everyone needs to do to stay in shape. You need to run 200 meters. You need to do 10 press-ups and 10 sit-ups. Then you need to scale a 4 or 5 foot wall and jump off of it.
Sweet.
And finally, jog in place for 2 minutes without stopping. And if you can accomplish those things, then you're ready to join Action Force. I thought it was hilarious.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And then I don't know if I mentioned this last time or not, but I'm always interested in, just words that I haven't heard ever or in a long time. But in this case, basically British slang, I believe, they continue to use the word brill. And short for brilliant, of course.
Oh, okay.
And,
Sure.
One reader's like, this is so brill. And then, of course, the editor's like, we'll continue to bring you brill content.
Yeah, we will.
So I feel like we need to have a Bring Back the Brill campaign.
Okay, well, I think I agree. I think this was a brill episode. Michael, I think we brought so much brill to this episode. I think I love it.
Good fun.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time for more of Joe-Nie Loves Action Force. And now you brill. And brilling is half the battle.
Full force.